Witness history in the making. The McIntyre Mini Globe Race 2025. Small boat, huge adventure.
Whoa, here we are back again. So if you missed it or haven't seen it, we just had a great chat with Canadan on his little bow, sailing towards Tonga, and that was a lot of fun. So hopefully we'll get to see some more. The way we manage that is rather than have scheduled times, the only real scheduled commitment they have is their calls to Graham Cox, our scribe, MGR, amazing scribe that writes those huge weekly reports, which people are hesitating to read, I can tell, because that's exactly what happened to me. When I first saw them, we thought, holy dooly, who's ever going to read that? But boy, after I read the first one, I read them all. They're fantastic because you can only say so much when you're talking about social media and trying to give these tracker updates. I talk about the whole lot. I don't talk about individually what happens on board. And so Graham watches everything. He's probably going to see this. He watches all the tracker updates. He will certainly watch Dan's interview, just a minute ago, and he gets to talk to all the entrants on a satellite phone call, which they do. We do half the fleet one week and the other half the next week. So over every 2 weeks, Graham gets a good chat with them to find out what they're doing day to day. He watches all their posts, individual posts, and reads them. And he puts all that together in this amazing sort of dialogue, as well as his own interaction with his historical knowledge on not only TRAKER and John Guswell and all the other little boat voyages, but general ocean voyaging and small boat sailing, things like that. So it's a really interesting insight, and he just captures so much. I'm always finding stuff out that I didn't know. But anyway, so if you haven't read one, try reading one. They're all available on the website. When you get on the MGR website, you'll see the boxes, and one of them says weekly updates, which is Graham's thing. They're all indexed like in a library. You can look at any week, and you get a blow-by-blow of everyone on board, which is really quite cool. So that's a bit of fun. And then you've probably seen some of the banter going on back and forth between me as the organizer of these, or coordinator, I should say. It's not like the Golden Globe and the Ocean Globe, where it is actually a really a fully organised event race. This is the sailors in the MGR have a lot of freedom. They're actually listed as their own independent sailors. We just bring them together as a collective. So we're not really organising this as a real event. I mean, it sort of is, but we're organising a group of independent voyagers. And you probably know, we've spoken about it before, each of them has their own individual safety manager. So the safety manager is responsible for the safety of the entrant, not us, right? We're here in the background to support and back up, and we've trained the managers on things they need to do with their crisis management plan and all those sorts of issues. And I just thought last night when we were talking notice of race, because the issue is notice of race of signage, and I'll get onto that later, but there's a whole series of things that the entrants have to do. We talk about it, but you might not have seen it. This is actually the checklist for each of the managers when they are getting their entrant ready to leave. So the entrant has a copy of this on their boat, and they'll go through it and find any defects. So rather than confirm all the bits and pieces, they'll look for the defects and pass that on to their manager, tick the boxes. So it's got to be voyage plan and confirmation of ETA. That's part of their advance notice. So they've got to have the voyage plan done. Their advance notice, they've got to deliver that to the next country they're going to. Next of kin have been informed of the departure, because if there's ever a crisis or something, the next of kin at least needs to know they're at sea. So this is what the manager has to do. All watertight bulkheads, hull and hatches are secure, so they can't leave port unless they are secure. Ayrton's fitted his new hatch. Electric bilge pump operational. They've got to turn their bilge pump on and off to see if it goes. Electric charging systems operational. We don't want them to go to sea with no charging systems, because that's unsafe. Sat phone number 1 tested and working. Sat phone number 2 battery charged in the grab bag. So they've got 2 forms of satellite communication. They've got to have a minimum of 100 litres of water on board. They can have more, and they do for the longer legs, but we won't let them start any leg with less than 100 litres, because something could happen. So a short leg could turn into a long leg if they're sailing slowly to port, if they're recovering from something. They've got to confirm that the VHF fixed, the onboard installed unit plus the handheld's working. Outboard is operational. We don't want them to leave without a good outboard. Radar transponder, that's the Echo Max transponder, which is very important. That's got to be working. AIS working. Primary YB3, they have a YB3 that's doing this tracking information. They have a secondary one in the grab bag as well. They've got to make sure they're active tracking, and the second one is on standby. Extra communications operational. We just want to know that. Not a critical one. That's like if they've got extra stuff, like other satellite tracking things or the Starlink and so on. We just like to know what is and isn't. First aid kits stocked up. If they've been using their drugs, they've got to confirm they've replaced those drugs, so they're going right one. Panic bag complete and correct. There is a long list of things that that actually must be in the panic bag. Okay, so that if they abandon ship, that's what they've got. Liability insurance is valid. They all are sailing with liability insurance, and it might be cancelled for some reason, and we need to know that. They can't carry on, and most of the marinas and stuff won't let you in without it. All shore-based bills, the port fees and accounts are paid for, so we don't want anyone shooting through without paying their bills. All previous leg photos and videos sent to MGR. Now this is a challenge. This one, so. We have a shared copyright situation. So all of the videos and photos that the entrants are taking during the course of their voyage, they have to give us copies. And we put that into the history bank. We use it for, hopefully, the documentary at the end of the race. We use it for social media. We use it for all sorts of things. But we grab a copy and then we can use it for our own purposes. But they do with whatever they want with their own. And transmitting it to us is a challenge. So some people are, if they've got a slow connection or whatever it is, they have trouble getting it down. And some people aren't, doing a lot. I think Renaud gave us 5 photos for the last leg. That was all. So anyway, we will read the riot act when they get to Fiji, because we got them then, and there'll be no excuses. They've got to hand it all over, otherwise they can't start. And then they've got to set the arrival GPS and Citran Bear photo. So when they cross the finish line, they've got to have sent us that. We don't put the time limit on it, but they've got to at least send that to us before they leave, so we can check their departure time. And then this is the trick. Number 24. Boom. I don't know whether you can see that. See, 24. All departure flags, cockpit lee cloths fitted. And look at that. There's a box there to tick. And entrants are ticking the boxes and then buggering off without doing it. And it's critical information, and I'll tell you why in a minute. And so that's a breach, and they could be fined, right? And it's a nasty fine. And we've been warning them since the race even started, since the event even started. Every time we remind them. And the irony is, this one we sent another update and say, hey, look, we're seeing lots of photos on social media. There's no flags flying, there's no lee cloths up, and all this sort of stuff, which we haven't done for a while, since Panama. And this time, it's even worse than before. People are just taken off with nothing. So why do we do that? Okay, you may or may not realise that McIntyre Adventure obviously gets a huge amount of exposure for all our events. We're on the mainsails, we're on the lee cloths, we're on all these lives. You look bottom right-hand corner, you'll see McIntyre Adventure. We sell nothing. And I haven't got an ego, believe me, I am completely normal. So what that's about is we want to be able to define the areas of exposure and what a sponsor would get if they were giving us money, to help us run this. So we're not putting in our money in all the time. So it's all about sponsor hunting. And we can say to them, look, if you support us as a title partner, you're going to get your name on the lee cloths, and you're going to get your name in the mainsail, and you're going to get your, all this sort of stuff. And if we see entrants not supporting that principle, they get whacked a fine. Now, we haven't fined anyone yet, but it's going to happen. Okay, it is absolutely going to happen, and it starts to get very serious from the time they depart. In fact, I think we said the 1st of May. From the 1st of June, we will religiously, black and white, no argument. Sorry, there's the photo. You're done. Boom, pay the fine. Okay, because sponsors need to see that, and if we see that entrants aren't respecting that, then they're in trouble. So that's what the sort of funny things to be going on. So spot the difference. And even last night, another one left. No lee cloth, Anyway, and some have got their own personal lee cloths, and which is blocking out the logos on the other side. So they're supposed to be off as well, but ooh, no. So, so yeah, it's a pedantic thing, but it's not about McIntyre Adventure, and it's not about anything else other than we need to show people what they get if they come and support us. It's very important. And with that extra money, what would happen is what happens is we don't spend our money anymore. But more importantly, we can do more things, and we can expose the adventure, and we can inspire a lot more people. And to give you an idea, I mean, we could, if we had a budget to do media production and distribution, we could be getting into up to 130 countries around the world. Because what you do is you do all that professionally. You produce programming and you do filming and you have support crews everywhere, to film all this and interviews and blah, blah, blah. Put it all into the material, and then you give it away for free for the networks around the world to put on their televisions, and it gets really cool. So, but, we do the best we can with what we got. Departure GPS photo is later on. So that's that one. I'm going to show you a couple other things. This is pretty simple. That's a printout of the entrant updates. They're all numbered, and that's our official correspondence. We've spoken about that before. This is the dreaded notice of race. You can actually download this, and it's an interesting read. If you're a real fanatic and strong follower of the MGR, you might find it interesting to go through and read about the rules that they have to contend with. It's got all my notes and everything, but it's got a schedule at the back of sailing times to the ports. Talks about all the safety issues. If you're a sailor and you are about to set off on an ocean voyage, all of our events, Ocean Globe Race, Golden Globe Race, and the Mini Globe Race, have the notice of race, and it carries all of the safety equipment and training that has to be done. And you could use that as a private sailor to give you a benchmark on the things that you should do if you're going to take off in oceans, just to minimise the risk. This is our crisis management plan. Okay, it's a document which goes through and explains to the managers exactly what the process is and how it works, and what's likely to happen. There's a question and answer there. So if their skipper rings up in distress, all stressed out, oh, this is happening a bit, then the manager knows the exact questions that they've got to ask the entrant when they're settled down, and can actually think straight, because that information could be critical. The other one then is, this is our safety book. So this is the safety book that's been given to all the rescue coordination centres. It lists all the safety equipment on board, the training the entrants have had, what the course is about, all the contact numbers, and here's a sample of TRAKER's safety data. I won't show too much. There's some private stuff on there. I'll move it around a bit, but it has photos of the boat, and it lists all the hex codes of the EPIRBs and PLBs and the satellite phone numbers and all that sort of stuff. And it carries, it's got every entrant. It's got a sheet on their safety book, and all the numbers for the managers are here, the safety managers, down the back. There's files there for the rescue coordination centres to save and act promptly and quickly to cover all those safety things. So that's the boring management side of running an event like this, and the things that the entrants and their safety manager has to do to make sure everything is going really well. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get straight on to the tracker. So you're on the tracker now, so that's cool. And now I go on the tracker. I'm on the tracker. I've just tidied up here. I haven't even looked at this at all yet. I have no idea what's going on. It's starting to get warm here now. It's coming up to 9:30. And by 10 o'clock it'll be quite warm. But I'm getting close to be able to polish the hull. Here we go. Rightio. There we go. Okay, so we'll look at the weather there. That's just going to miss them. This is unstable, so the leaders are going to get some squalls maybe, but they're getting very close to that. But it looks like from yesterday, we'll have a look in a minute, but yesterday it was all just slipping underneath them. But I don't think Renault will bump into it. I think it'll be gone before we get there, but that'll be something to look at in a minute. We'll come to Popeye, and he's still 4 hours behind, 12 o'clock. 20, he's way behind, so something's gone wrong with his tracker, Jing. We'll get on to YB, and he's dropped now quite a long way behind. He's 8 hours behind. So 8 hours ago, John was doing 4 knots and had managed 101 miles a day, and Mike was doing 4.7, but only managed 79 miles in the day, and they're getting pretty close now to Marquises. Let's see, we'll go Popeye. 240, so 2 days. 2 days they'll be there, which is a good thing. And I know, but I'll still check anyway, I know they've got plenty of good weather coming. There it is. It's not getting any stronger. The day one, day two, it's a bit over day two. That's about right. Same again. So yeah, 2 days they'll be in and they'll be looking forward to that. They've been at sea for quite a while. As you know, Gary's in, so everyone else is fine and dandy. All looking good. Adam's on his way, and Ayrton's just popping out now. So I just had a message, by the way, if you saw what we're from Christine. Christine's on a boat. They left as well. The Russell 36 sailing towards Fiji following the fleet. So she's sailing certain legs and flying other ones. So, okay, so there we go. Ayrton's just left. We'll have a look here, doing 1.4 knots. Not a lot of breeze there. He's obviously could be in a wind shadow or whatever. 5 nautical miles in the last 24 hours because he hadn't been out for 24 hours. But anyway, he's on his way, so it's a bit hard to define anything there. Adam, 3.1 knots. That's why, because it looks like there's plenty of breeze, but we're not on the weather. Here we go. Yeah, very light. So not much breeze at all. That's why Ayrton's only doing 1.4 knots. It's a slow start. So Adam's a bit the same. You've got a bit more breeze out there because Ayrton will be just coming out of the wind shadow of the island. But Adam's sailing 3.1 knots and 37 miles. He wouldn't have been out in the last 24 hours yet, so that's part of that one. Jacob's been underway for a while, 4.6, 71 nautical miles. He's doing okay, 4.6, because it looks like there's a light area there as well, with some stronger breeze coming up from behind. But anyway, Eric, well and truly stretching legs, 4.7 knots and 108 nautical mile day. So, and he's been out for the day easily. Christian, 4.9, 111 mile day. Got a bit more breeze. There seems to be a bit more breeze over here, but that's very hard to pick it. This is showing sort of 5, 10, 15 knots for Eric, and it's showing maybe 15, 18 knots for Christian there. That's what I'm seeing anyway on that one. And then moving right along, Dan, who we just spoke to, was chuffing along at 5.8 and did a 123 mile day. It was interesting looking at him in the chair, and I think it was Warren picked it. He said, "Oh, you look like you're an Amoka sailor, sitting in the chair bouncing along." And he actually did. It was quite fun. I thought he was like in the space station. But anyway, it was a great chat with Dan. So if you haven't watched it and you've got the time, I know it's late on Sunday for Europe, but there you go. No, what's today, Jane?
Sunday.
Today's Sunday here, so that means they're still Saturday night. Yeah. Okay, Pila, 5.6 and 133 mile day. She's flying. Sorry, Dan. You got no hope at the moment. 5.6. What's Dan got? Oh, 5.8. Yes, you have. Sorry, I'll take that back. And 123. That could be a factor of a slow start to the day for Dan, or the 24-hour break. So that's pretty interesting. Dan's closing in on Pila. That's one of his objectives. Where's Kerry? Oh, yes. I was just going to say he's heading down to the heavier winds. He mentioned that previously. Let's just pull this back a bit and see what's going. He had actually made the decision, I don't know, anyway, and discussed this. We discussed this when we had our online interview, which you can still see. It's a bit further down the post, or it's on YouTube. And he said he wanted to get down into the heavier breezes to try and get around Renaud. And we'll have a look at the weather in a minute. I don't think he's trying to get into these big breezes, but what we all know and what we can see clearly is that after this pressure system and then the instability, it's forecasting a lot of light winds. And I forget whether there was more winds up the top of the course, the run line, or down south, and I thought there was more at the top. So we'll find out. Is this a good move for Kerry? Kerry's doing 5.5, and he's done a 122 mile day. He's taking a tactical decision rather than just do the drag race in the rest of the fleet. And let's wait and see what happens. Pila, technically, at the moment, is probably in front of him. So Pila's probably past Kerry at the moment. But that's if he straightened this course up, he'd probably still be holding a position a little bit in front. But he's moved south with determination. So it's not just for no reason at all. He's got a plan. So let's see how it stacks up. Dan, 5.3. This will be interesting because Renaud looks like he's got low winds. 3.3, 123 nautical mile day. So did everyone start to compress up against Renaud? No. Renaud did a 119-mile day, and he's still doing 5.1 in reasonably light winds. So Dan did 123, Renaud did 19. So technically, he took out 5 miles, which is still okay. Kerry did 122, so holding his own. And let's wait and see. But there'll be some funny stuff going on here, and it's going to be interesting to watch. So I'm going to pull this back a bit, and we will slowly progress the weather. You can imagine now if the fleet was just literally 3 days ahead, 3-4 days ahead, they'd be getting this, which is fine. It's all in the right direction still. It'd be quite fast, but you can see here there's going to be some squalls in areas that you can't define, some localized weather that you can't show even on this graphic. So it's sort of like be ready for anything. That's how it works. But at the moment, everyone back here's got very good sailing conditions, and let's see what happens when we progress this forward. So I'm bouncing it through every 3 hours or so, and the internet's just charging. Okay, so Renaud won't beat it, but it's going to be light for Renaud. He's got light northerlies, and the others are going to close up a bit, but that only goes for like 8 hours. So that's not going to be a huge advantage to the guys at the back. And let's see what's happening. So Renaud at this stage will be coming into this zone here. The others have got wind. Renaud's still juggling a bit on the lighter stuff, so Dan and the others may take out a little bit. What's going to happen to Kerry? Kerry's going to get a boost here, so this is now, I'll do one more. I think we've now got to a point where I just want to check this. So it's 2000. So, okay, this is 24 hours ahead. This gets a little bit tricky because of the date line and everything, where we are and where they are. But anyway, that's the forecast that we've got for right now, and that's where they are. So that's going to be 100 miles ahead. So I'll show you where Kerry will be. This will all start to make sense now. Kerry's going to be somewhere about there, the end of the dot. And you can see he's got solid breezes. Okay. Now, so remember that. He's directly underneath Dan, where Dan is at the moment. So if we then look at where Renaud will be and what he'll be going through after 100 miles, he's still moving, but he's heading into he's still moving, so it's still neck and neck. No real advantage. Kerry may take out a little bit more. He may get maybe 5 miles, 8 miles better distance in 24 hours compared to Renaud in 24 hours. Okay, so that's the first one to think about. The others, I'll let you position it. So we'll go through now to the next 24 hours. I'm going to hit that. Hit these. Boom. No, Renaud's got breeze still. So it's light, and Kerry's going to have... okay, that's only half a day. Renaud's still sailing. Kerry's got more breeze. Absolutely got more breeze this whole day. And I would say Kerry's got still more breeze. So there we go. So that's at the end of day 2. So now Kerry's going to be about 220 miles, so to be conservative. So 220 miles up here. Bit of distance, 220 miles. There we go. So Kerry's here, and he's got breeze. Okay. Renaud, on the other hand... Oh, sorry, I blew that. I'm thinking ahead, thinking, oh, this could get very exciting. So we want 220 miles. Okay, so Kerry's going to be about here, just about on that longitude line, which is 160 degrees, 160 degrees west of Greenwich. So think of Kerry sitting there, and think of his speed. He's going to be doing quite well. Now, Renaud, in 220 miles, he's parked. Completely parked and stopped. There's not a lot in it, but what happens here is when Renaud parks, and Renaud might be watching this, when he stops there after 2 days, Kerry is back here, and he's still got another full day of sailing. Okay, so let's go forward, and so he's still moving. Okay, and Renaud would have slowed down. This could work out all right for him. It could work out okay. So we'll leave. I've got to kill that to get to the weather. So I'm going to go through for day 3. Right. What am I doing here? Why did that go back to... Oh. Hang on. Now I'm getting totally confused because it's saying 26, 27. Okay, so that's 27. Hang on. We're on the 25th at the moment. Yeah, we want UTC. Okay, so they're on the 24th, so that was correct. So I'm looking at I keep getting distracted by the actual real time here, just the local time. It's not UTC. So this was 2000 UTC, which is 8 o'clock. It's now 10 o'clock. So these positions are 2 hour old. So that was correct. All right, you're going to see 24th, 25th, 26th. We're now moving into the 27th, which is correct. So Renaud's, you can other ways you can look at this. Renaud will be parked up here somewhere, going nowhere. But because Kerry was so far behind before, he's still got sailing breeze here. So it's a compression. Renaud's going to sail into a hole, and Kerry's going to keep sailing while Renaud's stopped. This could be worth 100 miles to him. Absolutely. But we will keep it pushing through. So imagine Renaud parked now out in the middle. Dan will be bearing down on him as well. And then the breeze is catching up. So at this point, he's going to be starting to get some breeze. So this is now, I'll take it through to the third day. That's it there. Right, so there's 3 days. Renaud's been parked, so he's probably only done about 250. Maybe even less. Let's wait and see. So, yep, he still hasn't got the breeze, but all the boats behind, if they hold on that constant course, they're going to have breeze potentially right up to here while Renaud's been parked, right? It'd be drifting along. So hang on to your hats, Renaud. They're coming. There's a bit of a charge on. But you can see here at that point, Kerry is now starting to run out of breeze as well. So this is day 3. And if we come back here to day 3, I hope I'm not boring you with this lot, but I hope it's still going. Yeah, 300 miles. He's still got breeze. So Kerry could pick up 100 miles off this against Renaud. We're very interesting. So now, but we'll forget about all of that now. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm just going to look at the weather going forward. So this is 27th, day 3, to see how bad this gets and now this is where it changes, and this is where Kerry could lose out a bit because, okay, if I go back here, you can see there is more breeze up here, all the way along there, compared to down here. So he might gain a bit, but then he could lose a bit. Look at this. Wow. This is really the stuff this is what we've been talking about all the way along. It's right on the track. This is why this leg from Papeete to Tonga gets very tricky, because that's absolutely a pressure cell there. And you can see you've got a southerly wind there, you've got a northerly breeze here, you've got all this other stuff going on, and there'll be, if we look at the cloud cover, look at the clouds, let's see, yeah, there it is, bang. Serious squalls, massive instability, nothing dangerous, but very highly localized. Expect anything. They could get 20, 25 knots, 30 knots on the nose, but it looks predominantly north or south, which will be on the beam. But local stuff will be rotating, all that sort of thing. So that's challenging, to say the least. And the part of the reason it gets like this is hard to define. So there's no red spots, no big breezes. That's what it says. But this is a typical case like Dan had, where he gets 60 knots and freezing temperatures and all that sort of stuff. So, but anyway, I hope they'll miss all that. But anyway, generally, I'm seeing them predicting that Kerry may end up in a disadvantage, maybe not. We just have to wait and see, because, of course, we're now 4 days out, and the whole forecast could all be wrong. But on the 29th, it starts to get a little bit more organised. All that stuff has gone south, and they're just rolling along in light to moderate, light trade winds, okay, and they'll bear down and come in. The other thing to consider when they get here, there's a few options on where they can go and what they do. The main, normally on the track, Pangai is really interesting stopover. It's in the Hapai group. It's really cool. I know we lived there. That was home until we got wiped out by a tsunami. It's a beautiful place. So if you're doing an 8-day stopover, that's the place to be. However, there are three ports of entry. One is in Vavau, up here on the northern island, and the other one is in Nuku'alofa in the southern island. So they can actually enter and leave from any of these 3 ports. So they could come into Pangai, cross the gate there, enter, do the customs quarantine. They could then sail down to Nuku'alofa and then leave from Nuku'alofa to Fiji, or vice versa. They could come into Vavau, enter, sail down to Pangai and clear out of Pangai and go across. So that may dictate now where they are in the world, basically following the weather. If they're up the top, and they've got to come down, maybe they'll go into Vavau. But that's particularly challenging for a couple of reasons. There's about a 6-mile approach up there before you get to the anchorage where it's finished, and it's you don't want to sail to windward up there, and the range of electric outboards things, so it could take them a long time to get into Vavau to get to the anchorage when the leg stops or the section stops. Into Pangai is a lot easier, straight in and around, cross the line, you're in. In Nuku'alofa is a little bit tricky, but not so bad. So they're decisions that they'll make as they get closer. Okay, I think that's probably enough. And then it's the short hop to Fiji, which is a blast. And we'll look forward to seeing more. I think we've spoken about enough of that for now, so I'm coming back. Okay, so for those that are there, you're going to have some fun watching. Those that are here watching this, just gave you a brief on will Kerry's actions heading south pay dividends, or will it be a waste of time? We'll see whose questions they are, and then out of here. Will the film of the whole race be produced at a later date? Oh, yeah. We can't produce anything in sections. It'll be later. Jane's putting bits and pieces together. You can see what happens there. But at the end of the day, there will be a doco produced, and we'll have to wait and see. But it costs money to do that. When we did the Golden Globe race 2018, we couldn't get a production company, so we did it ourselves, and it cost a couple $100,000. We still haven't sold it yet. You can hire or buy the film if you want to see the 2018 GGR. It's linked at the top of the GGR website. So anyway, we'll wait and see. But it's a great story, and we're capturing, and the entrants are capturing some good stuff. So we'll see. The UK time. Kerry, his only choice. Cannot overtake by following on a run. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Don't worry, I know where you're coming from, Kerry, if you're still there. I don't know whether I gave you any extra tips. You've got the weather happening, and you know what's going on, and I think it's a good move. It's sometimes you got to do that because you're exactly right. It's a drag race is really difficult. You're waiting for someone else to make a mistake. And I nearly said when I was saying all this that, this is the beauty of getting out of the trade winds and having this other weather thing, because it gives you choices. When you're in the trade winds, it's like you can't go there. No point anywhere. It's not happening. But that's going to become more and more of a feature, sort of, going forward now, because we had some big long legs, just trade wind day after day after day. But that's going to change now. So opens up a few windows. So good luck, Kerry. Keep them all honest. Okay, greeting today, Christine. Reminder for likes and loves. Yeah, too true. Like, subscribe, share, make comments, whatever. All right, I think we're done. Is there any shirts for sale? Oh boy, we had a big discussion about this. Yes, we've got shirts for sale, but we can never get them to people because it costs so much money. People are shocked. If you want to buy a hat and send it out of France, it costs you about, I don't know, €25 or something for freight, for delivery. And then the cost of the hats are about €15 or something like that. So it makes them expensive. But that's our biggest problem. And our time, we're so busy with everything, and we don't have support staff and all this sort of stuff. Sometimes by the time we put the gear together and package it up and then take it down to the post office and then stick it in and go, it'll take us an hour or so, and so merchandise is our big bane. And yes, we could contract it to someone else and do all this, that, and the other, but that doesn't work out right either, because we use really good shirts. I mean, these shirts, I think they're €35. They're really good. These are the class shirts, and there's another one as well. But I think because we had this discussion with the guy here in the cockpit, we had a whole day of visitors on Friday. One was 580 builder from New Zealand, who may become the agent, by the way. That we lost our 580 kit agent, if you're from New Zealand watching this. So that was folded, and we've now got another guy who's going to look at building, and this carpenter, blah, 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 blah. So he may become the Kiwi agent. And we had another guy here who is looking at doing the GGR, and we had some good fun times, but busy. And merchandise came up. It's a big issue for us. So we may end up, when we do get back to France, because we can only do it out of France, all the stock is there, we will make packages. So it'll be like 2 hats, 2 T-shirts, and something else, and that's what you got to buy. And it'll be bundled, and we'll only deliver once a month, all right? So you got to pre-order it, And then once a month we'll have a dispatch morning or whatever it is, and we'll bundle everything up and do it in one bundle and goes down and go bang. So we think that might be a way around it. Interesting your question, because it was a big discussion on Friday. All right, enough of that. We're out of here, and thanks for following. We'll see you again very soon, hopefully tomorrow. Is that on? No. Oh, jeepers. We're not getting it.
Witness history in the making. The McIntyre Mini Globe Race 2025. Small boat, huge adventure.